Hey guys, True Grit Scott, Bulletproof Saws and BLUESAWS.com. Just trying to make a quick video just to stay in the habit with making videos. I got 100 things going on, but I'll talk to you about a couple. I was breaking apart some 346 XP carcasses that a buddy of mine sent to me. I got a few cylinders, some really nice plastics. Some of it got damaged in shipping though, which was kind of a bummer. This cylinder, which I don't know if it's salvageable yet, it's blown up, but I haven't popped it off to look if it's transfer or scoring. But the fins are broken on this one, and one of the other nice OE 346 cylinders, the fins are broken off of. And I'm going to tell you guys, when you pack stuff to ship, pack it like you're giving it to a teenage kid to play football with. Take up the extra room in the box, make sure everything's in there tight, and make sure it could take a throw off the back of the truck onto the ground, or else you're just going to lose stuff. So that was a little bit disappointing, but I did manage to get a couple good flywheels. I got 2 good cranks. I got 1 good case. I looked at it pretty good, and I'm reasonably sure there's nothing wonky with it. This other case is actually, the case was broken, but worse than that, there's a bullet hole and a half in the bottom. And what it looks to me is that when the handle was in there, somebody used the wrong screws for the handle. They were too long, so then as the saw's running and vibrating, it's hitting those screws, and one of them punctured through the case. The other one's, better than halfway rubbed through the case, and that's how you ruin a saw. Sometimes guys don't think about it. They use whatever screws they have handy, but you need to be real careful with the lengths. I know I've done it before on a 440. One of the handle screws, in a rush, not thinking, being a bonehead, I put a longer one in and went right into the fuel tank and gave myself a fuel leak. So, I mean, it happens. It shouldn't happen, but you're not thinking, and it can happen. So what I might do is, as I go, I'm going to break this one down so I get a look at it, pull it apart, and see what's what. Maybe I'll video, how I split cases and breaking down the saw. It looked like there was a mouse chewing on those wires, too. Boy, that sure looks like... It doesn't just look rubbed. It looks mouse chewed. I think the mice were in the saw. Anyhow, I'll break this one down, but it looks like we got a clutch, a chain adjuster, an oiler I'm sure is in there. Hopefully the cylinder will be salvageable. We got a handle. The rear handle appears to be okay if it doesn't leak or anything, and hopefully these are good cases. Nothing jumped out at me, and it doesn't look that bad. So, some more project saws. I actually have a 346 sitting here that's I gotta take a look at, and that's kind of a nice one. So I do have some nice ones laying around. That's a primer bulb version. What I really want to do is I want to get this bench cleaned off. I have a 660 Pro that I was doing the pre-flight service for, and I wouldn't have. I don't know that I would have caught this without going through and doing the full pre-flight, but one of the first things that I do a few things, and then I get to torquing the cylinder bolts. And I've told you guys before, any Farmertec 660, if you buy it direct from, I don't care where you get it from, you have to check the cylinder bolts. Very often, none of them are torqued. I don't think I've ever had one where they were torqued to spec. But more often than not, 3 of them will be close to torque to spec, and 1 of them will be finger tight. And what happens is, eventually they're all going to loosen up from that one, or that one's going to be so loose, if it doesn't have an air leak right off, it's going to develop one. You're going to blow your gasket out, and you're going to have a problem. And all you got to do is just torque those bolts. And listen, if you don't have a torque wrench, tighten them. Don't tighten them like a gorilla, but make sure that they're snug at a minimum. Better if you use a torque wrench. But I've had it where I've over tightened them. I've made that mistake once, and I'll never make it again. That's why I use the torque wrench, because you can over tighten them, and if you over tighten them, they want to snap. I've seen it on OEM saws, I've seen it on aftermarket saws. It's one of those things that you could do it 50 times, maybe even over tighten them 50 times and they don't snap, but you do enough of them, you'll get one to snap. And if I torque them, I know if they snapped, it wasn't my fault. And I don't think, once I started torquing every time religiously, I don't think I've ever had, man, I don't want to jinx myself, but I haven't had one snap since. So just something to be aware of. So maybe I'll make a video putting a helicoil in this. I could go to Farmertec and get the case half, fight with them, waste my time, get them to replace the case half. And it's a shame that I have to go through this with, I don't know that, I doubt there's two people in the country who spend more money with Farmertec than I do. So you would think I could get some premium service, but not so much. So I'll fight with them to get a case half. And what I want to caution you guys on that, I'm not interested in getting the case half. I want a whole new case for it. Reason being, I've seen where the case halves, they should be machined together where your cylinder sits. The base where your cylinder sits needs to be machined flat. And if you have two different case halves made at two different times when they change tooling or whatever, they could have a discrepancy in them where the case halves aren't sitting flush. Maybe it's such a minor thing that a base gasket might, kind of not get you by, but to me that's garbage. So I want a whole matching case to replace it with. And I warn you guys, don't just, when they want to replace something like that for you, you want more than a case half, and at minimum you need new seals, new gaskets, and you're going to lose an hour or two of your time doing it, which is, part of the game with these saws. It's kind of horrible. It's the one thing that I don't like is that, hey, for someone to get this saw, to me, that's return the whole saw. If I sent this saw to you and the recoil got cracked in shipping, I could send you a recoil and you can do the 4 bolts. If a clutch cover it's real easy for me to send that to you. Maybe even you do a broken brake handle. But when you get to having to split the saw down on a brand new saw that you just paid for, I see why people do PayPal claims and disputes with Farmertec, and that's not available to me as a dealer. I just can't do that. Wish I could, but I can't. So I'll wind up eating this in the time and fix it up. But what I wanted to do was helicoil that. Maybe make a video on helicoiling. And then I have the white 660 I ran in a video last week that, man, I'll tell you what, I don't pooch chains very often, but I hit rocks with it more than once. Then I guess I frustratedly sharpened it and did not a great job where I kind of cut into the tie straps a little bit. So then my file's going under the top plate of the cutter and giving me buck tooth cutters a little bit that wasn't pulling me into the wood when I'm running it, and it's not cutting right. And I'm not trying to be a prima donna with sharp chains, even though I am. It just wasn't cutting the way I want. So what I wound up doing was take the chain off. I'm so frustrated at this point, I just threw it on the grinder, got it back to where it needs to be, I believe, unless I pooched that too in my frustration, which is possible, but I don't think so. So I want to run that, a bulletproof built saw versus a stock saw. Same cylinder, that's with all the mods. This would be without any of the mods, and I'd expect a 30% difference in cut time. So if it's a 10-second cut, a 3-second difference in there is my rough math, what I'd expect. So it'd be neat to do. I haven't ran them in a while. Like, we have a build. We have a bunch of different builds, but I haven't done a head-to-head comparison in a while. So it's nice to level set again and just check where we're at. So those are upcoming videos. This stuff's on the deck. I got a 460 an OEM 460 that needs a total rebuild. Not the one I just got last week. This is another one that a customer dropped off way long ago, and I got to give him a buzz. And I told him it's going to be a while before I have the time to get to it. So it's okay, but it's time to get his saw out of here. So maybe I'll make a video of tearing that one down too, just for fun. It might be, I don't know if you're interested in a teardown video, and it'd be terribly long, but maybe if I do it in half-hour increments, maybe it might be interesting to somebody, and I could talk about different tech tips as I'm doing it. That's about it, guys. I just wanted to make that quick video and tell you what's what. I want to keep in the habit of making videos. That's the only way I'm going to get ahead with this video thing, is to keep doing it. And at some point, maybe I'll even get good at it and interesting. Maybe not. Anyhow, guys, that's it. This dog is going to whine at me till I take him to go do something, and I'm going to kill him if I don't get him off my ass soon. So, anyhow, guys, that's, I think, all I needed to talk about. It was supposed to be a quick video, and of course I'm blabbing. True Grit Scott, Bulletproof Saws, and BLUESAWS.com. Thanks for watching. Stay safe.